Welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast, where Christ-following business leaders explore God's will and ways for business. This show is a ministry of the Center for Christianity and Business at Houston Christian University and features conversations with today's Christ-centered business leaders who are representing Christ faithfully in the business world. I'm your host, Darren Shear, and if you want to make your work, leadership, and company's culture more Christ-centered, you've come to the right place. On this episode, we're joined by Steve Adams. Steve is the founder and CEO of IBAM, which stands for International Business as Mission. It's a global ministry that equips indigenous entrepreneurs to launch sustainable businesses that multiply disciples. With a background in corporate banking and entrepreneurship, Steve answered God's call to integrate faith and business as one. And since 2014, IBAM has empowered believers across Asia, Africa, and beyond through microloans, biblical business training, and discipleship. And under his leadership, IBAM has funded hundreds of businesses and built a scalable model to reach 1 million entrepreneurs by 2035, breaking cycles of poverty and advancing the gospel worldwide. Steve, welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast.
Thank you, Darren. I'm excited to be with you.
Steve, when did you first realize God wants to be involved in the marketplace?
As we were talking before we came on, in 2004, I went on a mission trip to the Hill Tribe area of Thailand. And that's really where God called me to missions, but it wasn't really on that trip. I got some training by Michael Bear, who a lot of people know in the business mission world. I give him all the credit in the world for the structure we have today. I went to southern Russia and I met Artur and Sergey. Both were men who, survived the collapse of the Soviet Union, and both came out of the criminal enterprises in Russia post-Soviet fall. One was an assassin, and one was a Russian mob member. And both of them found Jesus and walked away from that life and had kind of like their own version of Home Depot in a town in southern Russia in the Caucasus. And so I came and did some training, and we really talked more about how do I do this as a believer in business than actually how to run their business, because they were already doing a lot of good things. And it was on that trip where I realized God really can use business people, because you spend 2/3 of your life in this. It's your neighbor in a way who you can reach. And business literally disciples you every day, because the challenges and the stresses of business, it really forces you to confront, do I really believe what's in Scripture, and can I incorporate it into my life?
Well, how do you measure discipleship? So if that's the goal, well, actually, let's back up a little bit. Just give us a clear understanding of kind of what the model is.
Sure. So I'm going to give you our 3 fish metaphor, and then give you kind of the 4 pillars of our model, because usually people understand it at that point. So what the 3 fish are, the first fish is we give people a loan to go out and start the business that they've gone through a really extensive process with us to get. And that is going to help them be sustainable in their family, help lift them potentially out of poverty. But it also puts them out in the marketplace in a place to make connections. So that's the first fish. Second fish is we have a biblical entrepreneurship training model that we've refined over the years that really balances what are the few core things that they need to learn to be successful in business with what does the Bible say about all of this, okay? And then the third fish is we teach a method of disciple making that just demonstrates to our students that how important it is that this is God's business, not yours. And your purpose is to become a disciple yourself, an apprentice of Jesus, to use John Mark Comer language, and also make disciples of others, introduce people to Jesus. You're not responsible for the results, but your life should speak volumes. It should draw people to your life, and then you should share the person of Jesus Christ with them through this business. So those are the 3 fish. What makes it distinctive, I've been in this for 20 years. There's a lot of BAM movements out there that struggle because they don't have all 4 of these. And And I didn't invent these. This is 20 years of working hard to figure it out. One is empowerment of indigenous believers. They are in a better position than anyone else to have a culturally relevant, impactful relationship with someone. Uh, I'm not against foreign missionaries. I think it's both. Number two, we have a lot of structure and accountability built into our program. We actually have a multi-million-dollar web portal that controls every aspect of the process and gives us all the data we need to know how we're doing and how our partners are doing. Third is disciple making has to be in it. And it's not just winning souls. We have to be disciples ourselves, you and I, as well as our students. And so for them to even get in our program, they have to have their church give them a character reference on, are they someone who has demonstrated a pattern of pursuit of being a disciple first? And then, of others. And then fourth, we've taken the empowerment model to an extreme. We actually have given away our whole process now to our partners, and we train them as master trainers to run their own bank and deliver from A to Z our whole process. And we remain consultants. So that's kind of what IBAM does in short.
What's one of your favorite stories, one of your favorite examples of the impact of this model?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll use one is so we have a guy. So our partner in Africa. So we're in Indonesia. We have a partner in Western China. We have a partner in Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and we have a partner in Central Asia. Okay. Our partner in Africa is Awana Worldwide. A lot of people in America go, what? They're like 12-year-olds down to 3-year-olds, and my kids went through it. In Africa, they go to age 35. And they have 4 million participants, 27,000 leaders. And their whole vision is to use the IBAM model to get into churches and villages that they're not in, but also to be self-sustaining apart from Western aid, which is very unusual in Africa, right? It's a hand up, not a handout kind of thing. So, I read a book, When Helping Hurts, years ago. And so this whole ministry has been about not making those mistakes, creating codependency. But anyway, Elijah is the board chairman of Awana Africa. He went through our master trainer program. We funded an expansion of his transportation business. He has a taxi business in Lusaka, Zambia. And he went through the whole process, took the money, expanded. He's already mostly paid back his loan, but he has like 5 or 6 people at all times that he's mentoring in this process himself. And the way our process works is, if you get a loan, you have to have a coach for the duration of your loan who documents your progress both spiritually and professionally in our system, but also you commit to becoming a master trainer yourself. So it's basically self-replicating generationally. And so he's always has people, he's been a successful recipient himself, and he's equipping master trainers who then equip master trainers who equip master trainers. And what they really are becoming is that, I haven't called them this, but they're becoming loan officers. Because we raise money in the US and we grant blocks of money to our partners who set up a fund with their ministry at a bank separate from all their other ministry funds. They have a little board around it, and then they run their own loan committees. And it's like we have empowered them to have their own bank, if you will, in their culture. And then Awana has their own disciple making model they use. We don't impose ours. We just partner with people who have a proven record of doing that. So that's how we get that. And then we publish their annual impact statement on our website. So that's how we know we're getting fruit on both.
Got it. So just to simplify it down for guys like me. So let's say that here in the States, I give, or you take donations, and
Yep.
that's what funds
Right. We have an international loan fund in the US. We receipt the person, so they're tax deductible. And then
so they're not getting a return on like a financial return
it's
on
a donation. Right. Yeah. We're not running like a Christian private equity group. Right. Yeah. Yep. And then we grant it. We don't loan it. We give it to our partners. And then the loan cap is $1,000, and it has to be a service business. Over 20 years, we've learned service businesses have a high repayment rate. Product businesses don't. And we like it because they have
You
to get
can't
out.
really do much with a
Right.
product business for $1,000 anyway.
No, you're right. Yeah, you have to buy inventory and all that. So we took all the complexity out and said, just serve people. Well, that gets them out in the marketplace, engaging in relationships. And now they can work as if working unto the Lord and show them what it looks like to deliver a service as if working unto the Lord. So that creates the disciple making opportunity. So, I mean, all of this sounds neat now, but it took us decades to figure this stuff out.
Yeah. Let's say Joe Donor in the US gives to the IBAM fund. IBAM then will decide whether or not which local
Partner.
fund it's going to go into, or local bank, essentially, right?
Correct.
If it's managed by a group of Christian
Leaders locally. Yep. Yep. And they're all Christians. We don't do this process with lost people because we don't want to exchange money for the gospel.
And then that $100, they decide which entrepreneur, which service business they're going to fund.
Yep.
And then that money that $100 will then get paid back into that fund.
Yep.
That same original fund, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's actually up to $1,000. So somewhere between usually $400 to $1,000. Yep. And it gets repaid back.
Yeah.
And can get recycled to the next borrower.
Okay. And then the entrepreneur is expected to basically be help to vet the next entrepreneur.
Correct. Because they live the process, so you know how to teach the process. Yep.
Yeah. Got it. Well, give us another story to help us.
Yeah. Well, I've got one. This guy's name. I can't give his name because he's in Indonesia, and there's a lot of government oppression of believers, especially Muslim background believers. I'll just say S. He's on one of the major islands in Indonesia. He set up a business across the street from a university. The university, these students have scooters. They're all over Indonesia. And his business is cleaning helmets and shoes. He reconditions them because they get really dirty being on the scooters. And it's a successful business. And he's got a very simple, it was so profound. I thought to myself, you stupid man, I'm learning this from a 27-year-old kid at 61 years old or 60 years old. It was earlier this year. And he said, all I do is I build a relationship. They tell me their problems. And then I say, would you like to know how God helped me with my problems? And they go, every time they say yes. And he goes, and then I lead people to Christ. Isn't that simple?
I love that.
Oh my gosh. I know. It's just, and he's a 27-year-old kid taught all of us IBAM guys who were all in our 60s at this event where we were helping train our partners. And we all left that night and like cried in our room, like, thank you, God, for teaching us such a simple lesson. Yeah.
Wow. Like how many employees? I'm sure a lot of these entrepreneurs now have employees. So you said they're hundreds. Like, could you estimate like how many people are on the payroll of these businesses that have been funded?
What I'm going to tell you primarily is that probably 8 out of 10 are going to be the entrepreneur and maybe a family member only. Okay. But occasionally we get some that break through and they go to the next level and they start hiring more people. I don't have stats on that. We've worked really hard at just tracking the actual success, both from an entrepreneurship standpoint, paying back the loan, and then their spiritual formation, development, and disciple making. That's what we focus on. And we tell them, look, when you get to the point where you're going beyond us, you're going to have to work with your local network and find investors and people to help you grow. We don't do that. We know what our space is. We stay here. If that makes sense?
Yes. Yeah. And so, like how do you study them over time? And is there sort of like a way to track their spiritual development over time? Like, what does that change look like? Yeah.
Yeah. It's gradual. Like I said, for the life of the loan, they have to have a coach, and they have to have a coach when they come into the program. We won't even let them go past first base if they don't demonstrate that they have somebody lined up. And IBAM gives the coach templates to use. And we're fine if it's once a quarter, because you remember they have to validate through a character reference from their local church leadership that they are all of these traits that we're looking for. And one of them is they're actively engaged in their local church. And then before they exit the program and get the money, we rerun that character reference, say, is that still true, or have they grown? And as long as it's true, or it's true and they've grown, we will proceed. If they say no, they've slipped back, we cancel the loan and say you got to go work on your heart first. So we really empower and leave to the local church that they're in the accountability of their spiritual formation, because we really cannot do that from the U.S., from the West. We build it into our curriculum. We actually have, in phase 1, there's 2 phases to this. There's 6 separate Bible studies where we're demonstrating, we use disciple making, DMM, disciple making movements training. They don't have to use that, but that's what we use in our training. And then the coach, when they interview them, when they meet, they have to document how they're progressing spiritually and put it into the notes in our system. So that's as far as we can go. That's our last mile. And that took like 5 years to figure out that. But we got that now, and we're excited about it. And then we ask our partners to put their impact statements on our website every year. So we feel like that's as much as we can do. And I was just with a missions pastor in Houston past week, and he was asking me all those questions. And I said to the guy, I'm asking this as respectfully and kindly as I can. But when people ask us this, I ask them to step back and say, what are we doing about asking our entrepreneurs the same questions in America? And they always go, oh, you're right. We're not doing not even 1/3 of what you're doing.
Right.
So I don't do it as a gotcha. I do it as okay, give me some grace. We're trying, right? So we're tracking all the metrics on them, the loan, everything. So we know that they fulfill their commitments, but we are not going to give you something that's like, oh, they had 14 salvations this month and all of that. Don't even ask, because we can't ask that. We're relying on our partner who has shown over 10, 20 years that they make disciples, and trusting in that.
Yeah.
Because we do have the Holy Spirit, remember, and so do they. Yeah. So that's how I address that.
Yeah. And how do those pastors respond when you
really well? This one responded really well. He made a 5-figure commitment right at the table to us. So, and the other thing that's really,
in terms of how they recognize the calling to disciple their own entrepreneurs in their own church.
It helps. It just puts that little extra chutzpah to do it. But we also now have a tool for them, because we now have created a domestic version of our whole system. On our website, we have something called the Impact Membership. It's $10 a month. It's a way for somebody they can consume our curriculum online. They can basically, what they're learning overseas, you can go through on our learning management system. It's a separate system that is more Western and what people in the U.S. would enjoy, because we don't want non-international people in our overseas system. Okay, I want to keep that separate. So they get that, and we have a guy who was a missionary in North Korea. He set up a mission agency in Singapore to Chinese people. He's amazing. He's got an MBA. Great. He mobilized missionaries for several years for Pioneers. Amazing missiologist. He teaches disciple making in the marketplace and puts that into that Impact Fund membership portal where people can learn from him. So what we do with the church, we say, if you give us X amount of investment, everybody in your church gets that free. And 2/3 of the church won't care because they're not business people. But your entrepreneurs, if they consume that, they're going to get excited about missions, which is a win for the church. They're going to get excited about making disciples themselves. So in a way, we're starting to disciple their people for them. So they don't have to do all of it. And then this church in Houston is so excited. They're planning a church and they're going to bring the IBAM model to that church plant. And then if they want to, they can go overseas to their partner and do it there too. They're said they're not ready for that. But so basically, for us to reach our goal of 1 million, Darren, we're not going to do it with the team at IBAM. We have to have the church engaged globally.
Yeah. What's one of the main practices that you teach these entrepreneurs to adopt that would distinguish them from their non-Christian peers over in the places that they're operating?
Well, one of them, well, we one of the fundamental core things we teach are business is a calling. Okay. You're not doing this so you can do ministry. This is your ministry. Okay. Secondly, the concept. So the rest of the world, in the Muslim context, in the Asian context, plausible deniability, like situational truth and honesty kind of are pervasive in business. And we're teaching them that there's absolute truth. There's absolute, you will follow the letter and the spirit of your contracts with people. You will fulfill what you say you're going to do, even when it hurts. And so the integrity piece is really where people show up different overseas. Now in the US, we have a lot of cultural Christianity and a lot of social pressure. And a lot of people who are not believers have great integrity in business because they know it pays off. But that isn't necessarily true in a lot of these other places. A lot of our Muslim background believer students tell us that their top referral sources are like imams, because in the Muslim world, they know Christians are honest. Believe it or not. It was like a big surprise to me when I first got in this. So that's one. And then, we teach them, these success and failure factors. And a lot of that is character related. So they're showing up different out in the marketplace than what their peers are who are not believers. And so that's my best answer. I mean, there's a lot of other things we teach them, but to answer your question directly, that's it.
Yeah, well, you will show up different. I mean, just the accountability aspect,
right?
To help these entrepreneurs maintain that perspective that I'm not just running this business and serving these customers to get something from them, to make money, but I'm here on a much bigger mission to glorify God, and that
yes,
the way that I conduct my business and the quality of my service and the ethical practices of my agreements and the promises that I make, all of those things are either going to be leading those people toward or away from Christ.
Yeah, it's really well said. And well, the other one you just touched on, we teach is excellence is a biblical principle, and doing everything with excellence. When they sign the contract for the loan, they commit, like, if my business fails, I'm getting a job and paying this back because this is God's people's money that donated it. And now, obviously, we're not going to go chase somebody down and put them in bondage if they just can't do it. But we tell them, like, you need to pray about this before you take the money, because you are signing up with a real commitment that you're going to honor. Because, that's a muscle, okay? And you can either be in the habit of keeping your commitments or you can be in the habit of breaking them. Because we teach our kids, this stuff. You can't quit because it becomes a habit. Yeah. And so those are the things we do.
Are they paying back with interest? Or
it's not interest. We used to charge 10%, and now we charge 10%. This was our idea of one of our partners, actually, from Africa. We'll go up to 3 years on the loan, but you're going to pay a 30% loan fee for 3 years, 20% for 2, or 10% for 1. So it motivates people to build a lower cost business plan that's less risky, that they can pay back in a year. Some people still take the deal. And lest you think that's usurious rates, it's not, because over 3 years, that loan fee is about 10.5% when you do the imputed interest calculation. It's about 9.5 for 2 years and 9.1 for 1 year. And everywhere we work, standard rates are 27 to 32% if they use the societal banking system. So we're creating that doesn't work. Like nobody can pay 30% and make it. Like their margins aren't good enough in business to pay back 30% interest. That's like loan to own. So we're giving them a banking system, a shadow banking system that's legal. We make sure that will actually work for them.
What percentage will get behind on their payments?
So historically, we were, depending on the year, 35 to 50% is what would pay us back. So 50 to 65% would fail. Now, before you think we're idiots, 95% of businesses in the US fail in the first 5 years. So we were doing okay, but we had 10 years of data in our software system we created, and we looked at it and went, how can we do better? And what really forced it was our new partner in Indonesia was on the horizon, and we're like, guys, they have like 5,000 islands. They can't pull people to central locations. How are we? And all of a sudden we realized we need to give it away. And basically we said we want a BAM practitioner in every village of the world. Well, the way to do that is do a master trainer program, give it away, empower them, and then they'll train people who will go village to village across Indonesia. And it was really Indonesia that forced us to come up with this model. The repayment rate so far, after about 2 years of seasoning, is 90 to 94% repayment rate.
90 to 94% now.
Yep. And they're doing it, not us. They do it better because they have all the incentive. Like, we're not going to get more investment from IBAM if we lose money in all these things. And so they ask really hard. They're harder on their own people than we are.
Yeah. And I mean, what a sweet deal to also get coaching along the way.
It's all embedded in it.
I mean, what lender is going to give you that? I mean, to spend time, of course, you have to have those who are blessed by the system then turn back around and go teach others. I mean, you have to.
And they become coaches too.
Yeah.
And it's
they're not going to be compensated financially for doing that, right?
It's just, they don't. No. What's really interesting is you just said something there. I used to be a regional bank president. And if I were to start a bank again today, I would hire business coaches. And everybody that got a loan over a certain amount, because you have to have the scale of the net interest margin to be able to pay the coach, it would be so easy. The average bank makes tens of thousands of dollars profit per loan. They would probably improve their repayment rates, and they would differentiate themselves like crazy if they did it.
Yeah.
Like if you had a choice between two banks and one's going to give me a business coach, you'd take that bank every time. And the bank can charge higher rates.
Yeah.
So you just made me, I'm going to tell my friend here in Waco, he's the president of a bank. I'm going to tell him you should do this.
Yeah. And they would speed up their repayments to where, the business would probably start looking for their next loan a lot more quickly.
Well, the whole goal in banking when I was a banker is you can't outperform the quality of your borrowers or the quality of your local economy. Well, you can't control your local economy, but you can build up better borrowers, and that would be a way to do it.
Yeah.
So hey, you just came up with a big idea for bankers.
That is huge. I mean, that's, as an entrepreneur myself, I mean, I know the value of that. So especially from people that, it's one thing to have a coach that's sort of a disinterested third party, but to where that the fund that you've depended on, that you have benefited from, is at risk if this person is making unwise decisions in business. Right. I mean, and knowing that it's not just the pot of money that's at stake, but the disciple making engine that's at stake.
It's at stake. All of it. Yeah, that's really well said.
Yeah.
I mean, some other ways we prop up the strength, in each one of our partnerships, we help fund half to 100% of a salary for a local fund administrator. These are high quality individuals, and they hold all of the trainers accountable for following the process, because if you try to shortcut it, it falls apart. And so I added also, I get volunteer retirees to be the liaison with a partner. So I have a friend of mine retired from the automotive industry. He calls on my Indonesian partner every 2 weeks, flies there a couple times a year, builds a long-term relationship. I've got another one for Africa, and I'm recruiting one for Central Asia. So now our partner is getting the wisdom of a 60-plus-year-old godly person. The administrator in Indonesia is a former finance trade official in the government. The guy in Africa was a university professor of business, quit his job to do this. And I'm looking for that person in Central Asia. So we've just learned over the years through lots of mistakes and losing money, what are the pieces we need to build to keep this thing strong on every level. And you still have the human condition. You're still going to have losses, but we seem to, so far anyway, limited them. And the whole question now is going to be, can we maintain that quality as we expand?
Yeah.
So we're going slow now so we can go fast later.
And so people can donate at IBAM.org, right?
Yep, there's buttons all over it, and they can look into like the impact fund. You can go in there and either do $10 every month, or there's single amounts like 100 all the way up to, I don't know, some big number. Whatever God puts on your heart, and we're constantly upgrading that. We'll have more stories on there, but our whole goal is probably by the end of the year, we're going to have a link right at the top of the homepage. You click on there and you can go see our dashboard with how all of our partners are doing.
So how much has been donated at this point?
Well, since 14, probably 2.5 million. But like we run the ministry really lean. Like I think our general fund budget's like 175 grand. We have one development guy that is paid pretty well that consumes a lot of that, and then we have compliance stuff, accounting, IRS stuff. It's about 50 or 60 grand to run a ministry. Just that's the table stakes to do it properly and not be in trouble with the IRS. And then I'm not paid because I donate my time. I'm the founder. I've been doing this for 20 years. We've had other presidents that also volunteered their time. So in the next 3 years, what my goal is I'm going to continue to grow the board, get the general fund up to probably around $500,000 so we can pay a president, full-time development guy. And the beauty is, as we scale, we don't have to add many people because our partners are doing all the work.
Yeah.
Where we need people, we have an outsourced company that does all of our back end, will never change because they've got redundancy and all of that. Is we need operational support people to support our partners with Biz Tools, which is our platform. That's where we'll have to put people. But it'll be, we can add tens of thousands of people and add maybe one person. So it scales really well in our favor financially.
Yeah. Well, that's really phenomenal impact. I mean, to think $2.5 million invested, and I know it wasn't always a 95% payback rate, but that's
general fund and loans and everything. Yeah,
that's where things are going, is constantly improving, and to know that you can donate toward a fund that is going to be perpetuating this kind of impact all over the world is, and it's very tangible. It's
very tangible.
That. I mean, it's harder to measure, like if you were to, sponsor a missionary going overseas to go teach English or something. There's ways of measuring things, but if they're making money, they are out there interacting, like they are out there.
Right, they have to be.
Yeah, they have to be. They have to be, and to have that coach that is in their corner checking up on them and keeping them accountable. These entrepreneurs are leading their communities. So I just commend what you're doing. It's very exciting. IBAM.org is the website, everybody. Steve, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. And let me give you two statistics real quick. It's like single gift of 1,000 essentially gets recycled 9 times. So it's a gift that keeps giving. So it's very efficient. And secondly, for the cost of a missionary family, now I'm not, like I said, I'm pro missionaries, but for the cost of one family over 5 years, it's around $400,000 to $500,000. We can fund like 500 to 600 indigenous missionaries for that same money.
Yeah. Have you read anything by K.P. Yohannan? I haven't actually heard his name in many years, but there was a book that I read probably 20 years ago. It was about the indigenous missions movement going on in India.
Yeah.
And that was a real paradigm shift for me because I mean he started right out just contrasting the cost of sending, your 20 something year old
Yeah.
to
Delhi.
India
Yeah.
in the plane ticket, the cost of the plane ticket compared to how many indigenous missionaries you can support who already know the language, they're already rooted in the
Yep.
communities, to just make the journey to the next town over. Like it just there's just
Wow.
no compare from a cost standpoint.
Right.
And certainly
Yep.
there's
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 reasons. Yeah.
yeah, there's impact on the person that goes. I mean, you'll
Yep.
never forget that experience, but in terms of just long-term sustainable missions, the marketplace is where it's at. And
Yeah.
particularly with equipping and resourcing the entrepreneurs that are already in the countries, that already know the needs, they know
Yep.
the language, they have the relationships,
Yep.
and that what they don't have is the capital,
Or the
uh,
training.
and the coaching and
Yep.
the the insight into how to grow business. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's KP Ohanan.
KP Yohannan.
Johanan. Yeah.
Like I
Okay, got it.
said, I don't know. I haven't heard his name in many years.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it.
I don't even know what's going on with him. Gospel for Asia.
Well, hey, thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Christian Business Leader Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tune in for the next episode as we continue exploring God's will and ways for business.